Greetings everyone and welcome back to Starcraft with me, Kemzit. Today guys, we shall be holding a game commentary video over here, so do please lend me your ears and eyes for I will be chatting, offering my shares of opinions, thoughts, hints, tips, tricks, whatever I can come up with, of course. If you're gonna smack me hard, then smack me. I will. But yeah, we're still also live on Twitch. I'm gonna be sharing my opinion, and of course Soul Collector's still here as well, so it's the right time to hold this game commentary video. So before I'm gonna be proceeding forward with giving my opinions and thoughts about this game, do lean back, lay down, grab something to eat and drink, as I shall be sharing my opinion about this game. Now, it's a very old game for sure, and I've definitely not been playing it for a long time because I didn't really like futuristic stuff myself. But you know, since I've been requested, I said, okay, let's just simply do this. And it's also one of the games created by the company whom I really hold dear, especially with Warcraft 3, which was one of my childhood games as well. And I've enjoyed it. And that's where I've also met Lynn. So I'm going to be opinions. Well, first of all, again, we're going to be taking this into account. It's an old game. It's definitely playable too. The factions are nice. The lore, well, kind of nice as well in my opinion. The storytelling as well is just sometimes with Karen and the way they just saw her a little bit queen bitch. I kind of find a little bit more sassy attitude. I didn't really like it. I would have wanted her to be more different, more badass, more villain-like, because this was more sassiness and all that, and that's just not really suitable to the villain kind of thing, because I honestly do not see much of that in normal villains, because this is more like a, I don't know, weird one. But I guess this is just her, they created it like that, okay. Aside from that, like, yeah, true, this guy literally just committed suicide, kind of saddening and all that, but I get it, he's killed his friend and all that, so pussied the way out. He saw no more hope for his entire group and just, you know, killed himself, kind of annoying. As for the others, well, they were fine. Every power hunger checker does get sassy trait. Nah, come on. Nah, I don't agree with that. Power hunger kickers should be far more different, especially like the way they do constantly with females. For example, with Sylvanas as well in World of Warcraft is kind of annoying as well. Like, I don't like that. Like, come on. But yeah, this is just my opinion honestly, and I must say, like, again, even though it's an old game, I find it really annoying that you could only, like, how should I say, hold 10 characters inside one group together. The pathfinding really sucks, but that's like with even every game, even Age of Empires. But I hope, like, game companies will try to spend time and resources to fix it. The maps were nice as well, etc. too, but you know, sometimes there were literally little paths which made you struggle to get through with your units and made them die easily. Those tanks were very overpowering as well with the Terran forces. Protoss, well, they were fine, they had their own artillery too. Like, every group had certain units, like there was artillery, there were range units, there were flying units. But each unit was stronger compared to another. Like, I find that if you had those Terrans, those guys with 2 guns were the most powerful in my opinion. And of course their battleships. The Zergs, well, I don't really find too much strong troops there in my opinion. Every unit had like specific attributes that too. It's the same thing with the Protoss. But they had a lot of skills, like there were also a lot of units that had skills. Something I personally dislike, because that means you had to do a lot of micromanagement. That's rather annoying. To also mention that I only later understood that you could actually form some groups together. There were no hotkeys inside this game, which is kind of saddening. Well, there were like hotkeys for, like, how should I say, units and building wise, but you couldn't jump in quickly. For example, in Warcraft you had that far more easier, or where there were like no description on what the skills exactly done, so that was kind of annoying to understand that. But maybe if you had the CD case, you will definitely had like one of those folders explaining you what the units were and like strong against, etc. But there were no description here, for example. But for example, Warcraft 3 did have that, so that's like small minor feedback would be more nicer to see, I guess. You know, the faction-wise were still nice. I guess each faction still had some strong units and counters against each other. They were possible and present, of course. And I think it's pretty balanced, in my opinion. Like, again, I have only played campaign. The campaign missions were quite nice, but I felt the Zerg campaign was the most difficult and most challenging ones throughout the entire campaigns, especially the latest one in the Brood War expansion. Aside from that, like, I don't really have much opinions to say. I'm just glad that it's over, so I'm kind of curious to see how Starcraft 2 is, and from there on I will definitely be giving more better opinions and thoughts about it, because like, this game is definitely still playable, still fun. The voice acting is definitely obviously fun, but that's something that Blizzard Entertainment always have managed to do good, but overall many other games as well. Music is always good, voice acting is good, art is good, etc. So yeah. Starcraft Brood War came out on 30 November 2008 and Age of Empires 2099. Yeah, exactly. But here, that proves my point, right? It's just 1 year later that Age of Empires was created, and even there they already had some nice balances as well already. To also mention that they already made some good pathfinding, in my opinion. Not many units tend to get stuck in small paths and all that. Like, they had literally to squeeze through. You saw how sometimes there were in the campaign, when they tried to climb up the ladder, they just like one unit had to go from each other. You didn't have that in Age of Empires, in my opinion. So like, maybe the technology was not present, or they just smacked down those scenarios on maps right quickly, and it was rather annoying. But the campaign was still fun, the storytelling was still fun, so I gotta give that to credit towards Blizzard Entertainment, of course. And in my opinion, like, what other things that we have to share over here, like, is the amount of units that I had to literally control is just very few. Like, I would really be able to have at least 50 units. For example, that's the amount of troops you can right away click together. In here, it was just 10. And that was rather annoying. So yeah, and a more elaborate tutorial early on would have maybe perhaps helped as well on how to play this game, because honestly, I was literally a failure. So yeah, Zerg is in 9 was frustrating. Exactly. It was very frustrating. Like, as I said, I have never played such a frustrating mission throughout my entire RTS gaming, etc. And, well, maybe. I think I've played such in Stronghold 2 Crusader, maybe? But then again, I was still able to beat it on easy mode. Here, for example, right, you didn't have any difficulties inside this game either. That's another thing to consider. Like, there was no way that you could change difficulties as well, which is kind of weird, because every RTS game had already a difficulty setting for you. And a proper tutorial. Like, the tutorials that we actually had, I didn't feel like they were very instructive. Especially with resource gathering wise, because it was only until a later stage that I watched some videos from some pro players, etc., that you could actually assign 2 workers on one specific cluster of gathering resources to make them gather quicker. And I know that they do that also in Starcraft 2. Like, I have not really watched any campaign things, so no lore, etc. either, so I'm not going to get to that spoiling as well. But I'm definitely curious to see, and I've definitely seen a little bit of the footage over there. So I'm gonna be definitely comparing these 2 games to horses. So I'm just gonna simply move to give this game a score from a scale 1 to 10. I'm just gonna give it an 8. Like, it's fair. I'm breaking just 2 points because simply the maps are very tight, especially with units wise. And I also break a point, in my opinion, with a lot of micromanagement needed for units having dozens of skills, the lack of information on what units is good at what. Like, you literally have to Google it up, like, come on. Many games have always descriptions on what units are good at what, etc. And here you have to literally just find out and what units can fire against air or not. But every unit in other games, they have descriptions, etc. Aside from that, it's just, yeah, quite fine. Damage is shown, etc. Armor is shown, and whenever you upgrade it, it shows up as well. That is a good point, but again, 2 points simply because pathfinding sucks. But again, even though it sucks nearly everywhere, campaign missions nice, story, etc. We've gone through that, but you know, I still feel like it deserves an 8 in my opinion. Also for the effort and time it made and all that, so yeah, it's definitely an 8. And of course, not something that I favor myself too much. Yeah, I think this is it. So for everyone else, I hope you guys agreed and enjoyed this video as well, my opinions and thoughts as well. If you have any, feel free to share it down in the comments box below, or join my Discord server so we can have a chat about it, be it me or anyone else inside there. Special Soul Collector for it. This was a requested series by him. But yeah, with that said, I shall see you guys later.